The ground shook with every step the alien army took. The Varnock Dominion had come to claim the last human world. The skies were dark, filled with smoke from destroyed ships. Buildings stood broken. Fires burned where cities once stood proud. It had been 3 days since Earth's defenses collapsed. No signal, no help. The last broadcast said only one thing: do not surrender. Do not fear, fight. Now silence. Hundreds of Varnock soldiers marched through the ruined streets of New Berlin. They laughed as they passed crushed vehicles and burnt banners. One of them, a tall commander with silver armor, raised a hand. His name was Vakhtaurin. "Scan again," he growled. "One human remains. One. I want his head." His soldiers spread out, armed with plasma rifles and heat sensors. They scanned buildings, underground tunnels, even the sewers, but they found nothing. Then footsteps slow, calm, echoing through the smoke. Everyone stopped. One figure walked through the dust. No weapon, no armor. Just a black jacket and boots. Covered in ash, his face was tired. His eyes sharp. A Varnock soldier raised his gun. The figure didn't blink. Commander Vakhtaurin stepped forward and stared at the human. "You are alone," he said in a cold voice. "Surrender. We will make your end quick." The man didn't answer. Instead, he smiled slightly and spoke 2 words. "Big mistake." The aliens laughed. Some pointed. Others moved closer, guns ready. But the human didn't move. He stood tall, in the middle of the street, as if he owned it. Talrin narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" The human replied simply, "Captain Rill Carter, Earth Special Operations." Talrin gave the signal. "Take him." 10 soldiers moved in. Human didn't fight. He just stepped back and vanished into the smoke. A second later, an explosion ripped through the group. Screams followed. When the dust cleared, the soldiers were gone. Nothing left but scorched metal and broken armor. Talrin growled, "Where is he?" No answer, only a quiet voice over there comes. "You should have stayed away from Earth." 2 hours earlier, deep underground, under the ruins of Sector 7, Rill. Carter stood alone in a bunker. He watched the last video of his squad. They were laughing, eating together, preparing for battle. Now, all of them were gone. He touched a photo on the wall. "I won't let them win." He checked his equipment. No rifle, no heavy weapons. Just a small device on his wrist, and his old knife, one he carried through 5 different wars. Then, he opened a secret panel in the wall. Inside were maps, old defense codes, and a single glowing crystal, the last shard of Earth's EMP core. It could wipe out enemy tech in a small radius, not a full weapon, but enough. He took it and slid it into a hidden pocket. Time to go up. Back in the city, Varnock soldiers searched buildings. Some started shouting, "He's not here. He's moving through the tunnels. Something's jamming our comms." "Commander." Talrin slammed his fist into a wall. "He's playing games." They began hearing sounds, footsteps on rooftops, scratching behind walls, doors slamming where no one was. Fear began to grow. "He's just one man," Talrin said. "You're soldiers, act like it." But the soldiers weren't so sure anymore. One of them, Private Zarn, whispered to another, "Why is he not running?" Inside the shadows, Rill Carter crouched behind a collapsed wall, breathing steady. His wrist device lit up, showing enemy movement. Wasn't just hiding, he was hunting. He planted traps using scraps grenades tied to motion sensors. Wires stretched across doorways, and distractions made from broken bots. He moved like a ghost. Every time they thought they had him, he was already somewhere else. One soldier caught a glimpse of him, just before falling into a pit covered by rubble. Rill whispered to himself, "That's 6 down." An old messagetoran returned to his mobile command center. He watched the data feed. Every few minutes, a squad stopped reporting. Then, one feed turned on. A helmet cam, static, then clear video. It showed Rill standing calmly, staring into the camera, he said. "I've seen your kind before. You think numbers mean victory. You don't understand Earth. You don't understand me." He stepped closer. "You came with 100. That's not nearly enough." The feed cut, Talron's claws clenched. "He dares mock us." Alien fear begins as the sun dropped below the smoke clouds. Darkness fell. But Rill didn't stop. One by one, he picked off units. A sniper team taken out from behind. A patrol group gone in a flash of light, and smoke. Soldiers started hearing whispers his voice on their comms. "Left turn, wrong move. Check above. Too slow." Some dropped their weapons in. Panic. One ran straight into his own team and caused chaos. Rill used every second of fear, every moment of doubt. Talron's desperation. By midnight, Talron had lost over 30 soldiers. And no one had seen the human's face again. He called for backup, but even his own signal was jammed. Then a loud sound echoed through the ruins, a speaker crackling with static. It was Rill's voice. "I didn't come here to hide. I came to remind you. Earth is not yours. And I am not done." Suddenly, explosions rocked the camp. The old hospital collapsed, taking a Varnock tank with it. Flames lit the sky. Rill walked through the fire. His jacket burned at the edge. But he didn't stop. The final move, Talron screamed. "All units, on me!" And in now. His remaining soldiers formed a wall, weapons aimed. Rill stopped 10 meters away. Silence. Then, from his pocket, he pulled the crystal core. Before they could react, he slammed it into the ground. Flash. Every weapon in the area died. Their lights blinked out, guns shut down. Armor stopped responding. The aliens looked at each other, confused, helpless. Ryl moved fast. One by one, he took them down using only his knife, fists, and traps. It was brutal. It was fast. Talron fought back, but without his armor's power, he was just another soldier. Rill stood over him. "You brought war to a broken world. But we don't break easy." Talron gasped. "You ... can't win ... alone." Rill stepped back and smiled. "I'm not alone. I'm just the first." The hidden signal as dawn broke. Rill climbed to the top of a ruined tower. He opened his wrist device. A small green light blinked. Signal sent. Somewhere far across the stars. A hidden human fleet got the message. Earth still stands. The fire lives. The fires still burned in the ruins of New Berlin. Smoke twisted in the air like ghosts, hiding what was left of the Varnock patrols. Their bodies lay scattered, silent, weapons useless. Only one figure moved freely through the war-torn streets. Captain Rill Carter. His face was cold, his eyes sharp. He walked with purpose, no fear, no rush. He knew they were watching, and that was the point. He wanted them to see him. Back at Varnock Command Base, inside a large alien warship parked outside the city, General Dravik, one of the Varnock's finest war leaders, stared at a blinking screen. It showed body counts: 78 confirmed dead, 16 missing. One human responsible. His claws tapped the table. Impossible. A younger officer stood beside him. "Sir, Commander Talron's unit was wiped out." Dravik's eyes narrowed. "One human cannot do this." "He's not just any human," the officer whispered. "His name is Rill Carter." Dravik paused. That name sounded familiar. He opened an old war report. It was from the early invasion of Earth. Name: Captain Rill Carter. Status: missing in action. Specialty: urban combat. Tactical ambush. Psychological warfare. Dravik stared at the photo. So, the ghost still breathes. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Rill moved silently through the underground maintenance tunnels. He studied a map drawn on an old datapad. He knew these routes better than anyone. Before the war, he helped design the emergency systems of New Berlin. The aliens thought he was hiding. They were wrong. He was building something. He reached a large junction chamber. Pipes hissed. Wires sparked. This place had power barely. He opened a dusty panel and connected his device. A small screen lit up. One word appeared. Arming. Rill smiled for the first time in days. Alien reinforcements arrived. General Dravik stepped off his warship. Behind him came hundreds of soldiers, heavily armed, fully armored, no mercy in their eyes. He raised his voice. You have let fear destroy discipline. That ends now. We do not fear one man. The soldiers stood straighter, but no one spoke. Dravik pointed at the city. He walks into your traps and walks back out. That ends today. I will lead the hunt myself. He deployed drones, scanners, fire teams. The city was locked down. They believed he was the prey. But Rill was the one setting the trap. A familiar symbol in the middle of a collapsed street. A strange shape appeared painted in blood and ash on the wall. It was a symbol. Two crossed lines. Simple. For humans, it meant everything. Never surrender. Dravik stared at it, mocking us. A moment later, a bomb exploded beneath his command post. No one was killed. The message was clear. He was always watching. Operation Crush the Ghost. Dravik launched an all-out hunt. Units moved building to building. Drones scanned heat, movement, even scent. One squad cornered a figure near a collapsed tower. Target sighted. They shouted. They opened fire. But it wasn't real. It was a burned uniform filled with scrap metal. Then the building exploded, dropping 2 floors onto the squad. Overcomes, Rill's voice came through. You're fighting shadows. I am not in front of you. I'm beneath you. Fear returns. Even Dravik's best warriors began making mistakes. One fired at his own teammate. Another swore he saw Rill behind him. But there was no one there. Rill's traps were everywhere, nails dipped in poison, sonic bombs that deafened. Gas vents reactivated to confuse sensors. Every step forward was a risk. One soldier screamed, "He's not human, he's death." Dravik silenced him with a single shot. "Get up," he ordered the rest, "or die like him." But their hands shook. The tunnel ambush by night. Dravik led a team into the underground tunnels. He believed he had tracked Rill's heat signature. Moved slowly, step by step. Suddenly, the lights flickered. One soldier screamed. Dragged into the dark. Another slipped on something wet. Blood. They opened fire blindly. Then a voice echoed through the tunnel. Your tech dies here. I don't need it. A smoke bomb dropped. Then came the sound of running. Metal hitting flesh. Gurgling. By the time the smoke cleared, only Dravik stood. His team was gone. He looked around, panting. You think this scares me? He shouted. Then came the whisper from above him. No, but it should. Dravik looked. Up too late. Rill dropped from a pipe, tackled him, and vanished again into the side tunnels. A message to the galaxy. Rill returned to the surface. He reached an old radio. Tower barely standing. He hooked his device into the tower's power, and he spoke live on and open. Galactic frequency. His voice was clear. Calm. This is Captain Rill Carter of Earth. To any species watching, hear me. The Varnuk think they rule. They think they can take planets and erase people. He paused. But they made a mistake. They forgot one thing. Humans don't die easy. He sent the signal. On dozens of hidden frequencies across the galaxy, small resistance groups, human and alien alike, received the message. Hope returned. Dravik's rage. The next day, Dravik burned half the city. He bombed buildings, crushed streets, turned entire blocks to dust. But there was no sign of Rill. Where is he? Dravik roared. I'll level everything. A soldier walked up, trembling. General, we found a map. It was left behind. Dravik grabbed it. It showed the whole city. Dozens of red circles, each marked. Dravik's eyes widened. He's not hiding. He's leading us. Right into, boom. A chain of explosions began across the city. Buildings collapsed. Streets fell into fire. Above the chaos, a drone flew by, showing a rooftop. Rill stood there, watching. Then he turned and walked away. What they didn't know, Rill reached his final safe house. He opened a steel door with a hand scan. Inside, weapons, tech, food, and a small bed. He sat down, breathing hard. He was injured, his ribs cracked, leg bruised, but alive. He stared at a wall covered in photos. Old friends, his squad, his commander. Underneath, a single word was written: revenge. He whispered to himself, "Let them think I'm just one man. Let them keep coming. I'll bury them all." And outside, the city still burned, but the ghost of Earth walked free. The sun never rose over New Berlin again. Thick smoke covered the sky. The air smelled of ash, fire, and something worse, fear. The mighty Varnock army had arrived on Earth. With confidence, they thought the last human would be easy to crush. But now, soldiers refused to move without a full squad. Drones flew low, scanning shadows that had already killed dozens. And General Dravik, once calm and proud, now walked with anger in every step. The problem was not that they couldn't find the human. The problem was they knew he was already among them. Watching. Waiting. Inside the command tent, General Dravik stood in front of a long table. Maps and data flickered in front of him. Varnock officers surrounded him, whispering quietly. One of them finally spoke up. "General, another patrol is missing. Unit 12, no signal since last night." "That makes 7 squads lost in 48 hours, another officer added. Dravik's eyes burned. "We are Varnock. We ruled 15 systems. We crushed rebellion in ice worlds and lava fields. And now one human scares you?" The tent was silent. "Cowards," he hissed. "You shame the Empire." Suddenly, a screen lit up. A live feed. It showed a Varnock soldier, terrified, hiding behind rubble, breathing hard. His voice cracked. "He's here. He's here. He's in our minds." Gunshots. Then static. The screen went black. In the shadows nearby, Rill Carter crouched behind a broken wall. He held a piece of tech he had stolen from the last Varnock patrol. It was a mind scan helmet used to read surface thoughts of enemies. Ryl had adjusted it, turned it into a fear amplifier. He didn't need to shoot. He just needed them to doubt, to fear shadows, to fear silence. He whispered into a stolen unit, "Still think one human is too small to fight you." Then he pressed a button. Somewhere, a nearby Varnock gunship overheated and exploded. He had planted the trigger hours ago. The rise of rumors. Varnock soldiers began to whisper among themselves. "He's not normal. He never sleeps. He was trained by machines. No, he is a machine. He drinks our blood." None of it was true, but Rill let the rumors grow. He even helped. He left false footprints that vanished. He played voices over stolen coms. Sometimes it sounded like crying, sometimes like laughter. He left a Varnock helmet on a stick spinning slowly in the wind with the word "Run" carved on it. A message from home inside a hidden corner of the underground city. Rill opened an old tablet. It barely worked. The screen flickered, but he managed to open one file. It was a video from his commander recorded months ago. Before the fall, she looked strong, tired, but proud. "Rill, if you're watching this, then it means you're still alive. Maybe alone, maybe surrounded, but remember, you are not forgotten." Her voice grew soft. "Do not stop, do not fall. You are Earth's memory now." The screen died. Rill closed his eyes. He was tired, hungry, his injuries hurt. But he would not stop. General Dravik's next Nuvedrovic had enough. "We will no longer chase the ghost," he said. "We make him come to us." He sent his soldiers into the center of the city. They cleared a wide space. Then they brought out prisoners, the last humans found hiding in the ruins. A dozen people, old, young, injured. They tied them to poles in the middle of the street. "If you are a warrior," Dravik shouted into the sky, "then save them. He placed sniper teams on rooftops. Drones hovered. All eyes watched the ruins. Then they waited. Minutes passed. An hour. Still nothing. Then a whisper overcomes. Did you check under your boots? A soldier looked down. Too late. Boom. A landmine exploded. A ripple of traps followed. Smoke bombs, fire charges, and sonic blasts that made every sniper scream and drop their rifles. When the smoke cleared, the hostages were gone, the ropes were cut, and on the center pole, someone had left a helmet. Dravik's helmet. Stolen from his private tent. The voice in their heads. That night, dozens of soldiers woke up screaming. They claimed they heard Ril's voice in their sleep. Some saw his shadow on walls moving when no one else did. Others found messages on their gear. I'm behind you. You blinked. Still here. It wasn't magic. It was psychological warfare, something Ril mastered in war after war. He left devices that played his voice at random. He used hacked visors to flash his face for half a second. Not enough to catch. Just enough to make them doubt what they saw. An unexpected visitor. One Varnock scout, young, scared, bleeding, ran deep into the tunnels, trying to escape. He turned a corner and froze. Ril was standing there. Unarmed. The alien raised his hands. Please. Ril tilted his head. You want to go home? The soldier nodded quickly. Ril stepped aside. Then run. And tell them what fear feels like. The scout didn't wait. He fled. Ril knew what he had done. He had just sent fear itself into the enemy's camp. Back in the warship, the scout crashed into the ship's entrance, screaming. He let me live. He could have killed me. Dravik stared at him. Why would he do that? He wants you to fear him, the soldier gasped. And it's working. Dravik turned to his officers. Prepare the flamethrowers. We burn every tunnel, every corner. But sir, our own troops. Do it. Flames across the city. Fire spread across the underground. The Varnock believed they had flushed Ril out, but he had seen it coming. He had already moved. Now he stood on top of a distant tower, watching as the aliens destroyed their own base, thinking it was his. He whispered into the wind, "Thanks for clearing the area for me." One final scare that night, the Varnock base heard a strange hum. Then something massive flew over them, silent, black, and triangular. A ship? No. It was a fake made from debris, shaped and launched with stolen engines. It crashed into the ground but didn't explode. When they opened it, there was only a chair, and written on the wall, "This was fun." Fear takes over. Varnock soldiers started refusing orders. One commander was attacked by his own troops. They believed he was Ril in disguise. Dravik stood in front of his officers, fists shaking. "We are not losing to a human. We are losing to ourselves." But it was already too late. Even he knew it. Ril's final words that night in a safe tunnel. Ril opened his cum. He spoke one message to every Varnock device. "Sleep well tonight, if you can. You brought war to Earth. Now you get to meet what lives in its shadows. I am not your enemy. I am your punishment." He turned off the signal, and the city went dark. Only one light remained, his eyes, watching from the ruins. The city of New Berlin was no longer a battlefield. It was a graveyard. Fires still burned. Buildings lay cracked open like broken bones. And silence ruled the night until it was broken by screams. Varnock soldiers, the galaxy's strongest warriors, were now restless, nervous, and afraid of one man. Captain Ril Carter, the man they thought would run, the man they thought would die in minutes. Now, he was everywhere. And nowhere, the mist shot on the northern side of the ruins. 4 Varnock snipers had taken positions in a tall, half-destroyed tower. Their mission was simple: wait for the human, then end him with one clean shot. One of them spotted movement, a shadow near the broken rail tracks. Target acquired. He whispered. He aimed, focused, fired. Missed. The shadow didn't move. Suddenly, the sniper felt something cold touch the back of his helmet. He turned slowly. Rill Carter stood behind him. No second chances. Rill whispered. Crack. The sniper dropped. Lifeless, the others never saw where the next shots came from. All three fell within seconds. Rill disappeared again into the night. General Dravek's frustration inside the main warship. General Dravek's temper exploded. How do you miss a target that walks into your trap? An officer stuttered. He wasn't on our sensors. No heat, no sound, no trace, another added. It's like he's not even real. Dravek slammed his clawed hand into control table. He is real, he is one man. And we are thousands, act like it. But fear had already taken root. Even his best warriors checked corners twice. Even the drones flew lower than usual, afraid of shadows. Rill's quiet war deep beneath the rubble. Rill patched his arm. A bullet had grazed him during the last ambush. The pain was sharp, but he had felt worse. Much worse. He remembered an old mission on Mars, a mine collapse. No air for 2 days, 3 broken ribs. And yet he made it out. This was easy. He checked his stolen Varnock comms. Messages buzzed in his ear. Unit 9 lost. Again. Sniper teams not responding. We are being watched. Rill smiled. He adjusted his knife, loaded a stolen plasma charge, and whispered, time to remind them why humans were feared. The target, a Varnock tech hub. Rill moved toward a large glowing building deep in the city, a tech hub controlling drones and sensors for the Varnock army. Destroy it, and their eyes go blind. But it was guarded. 2 towers, 15 soldiers. Sensors on every wall. He studied it from a distance, then pulled a thin metal wire from his jacket. It looked harmless, but it wasn't. It was a shock line. Tool Earth engineers once used to melt. Steel pipes. Silently, he crawled under the wall and began slicing through cables with the line, one by one. The lights blinked off, alarms triggered, but by the time the soldiers responded, Rill had already climbed the tower without being seen. The fall of the tower inside the tower. The commander barked orders. Find the intruder. Suddenly, the power shut off. Darkness. Then, a small beeping sound came from the center of the room. Everyone turned. A small glowing cube rested on the floor. Boom. The explosion didn't destroy the building. It simply dropped the entire floor by 10 meters. The structure bent, crashed. Soldiers screamed. From the shadows above, Rill dropped in, like death itself. He never misses twice. One guard, badly injured, tried to crawl away. He looked up. Ryl was there. You had your shot, Rill said, pointing to the sniper rifle on the ground. You missed. The soldier begged. Please. Rill didn't speak. He turned and walked past. That soldier would live, and he would tell the others. The message was clear. Rill Carter never misses twice. The spread of panic across the Varnock army. Reports flew in. Tower 7 is gone. Sensor network is dead. Drone control is down. General Dravek roared. Where is this human getting his tech? But no one had an answer, because Rill wasn't using high-tech weapons. He was using what they left behind: broken gear. Old Earth machines and their own tools against them. A personal message later that night. A Varnock supply drone flew back to the main ship. It was on autopilot. No one questioned it until it landed and dropped a package. Inside, one of the stolen sniper rifles. Scratched onto the side were words, "Next time, don't miss." Dravek's second in command looked pale. He sent it back? Dravek stared at the weapon, silent. He now understood. This war wasn't about Earth anymore. It was personal. A flashback, the one he lost back in a hidden bunker. Rill stared at a small metal tag. It belonged to Sergeant Lena Voss, his closest friend. Lost in the Battle of Lunar Point, she had taken a bullet. Meant for him. She had whispered her last words, "Make it count." Every step he took now, every trap, every kill, it was for her. For his squad. For every voice Earth had lost. General Dravek's last Plandravik gathered his elite. only 20 soldiers. But they were the best. We're done playing games, he said. We hit him in the open. We bring him down. I lead the charge. They moved to the old New Berlin Plaza, open, wide, impossible to hide. Dravik stood in the middle, yelling into the open, come out, human. If you want to fight, fight. Me, silence. Then a shadow moved behind a broken statue. Ril stepped out, no weapon in hand, only his knife. The challenged Dravik smiled. You really think you can win? Ril looked around. I already did. Suddenly, small flashes appeared around the plaza, under rocks, in drains, above ledges, plasma mines, pulse charges, all connected to Ril's wrist device. Dravik's soldiers. Panicked. Don't move, Ril said calmly, or you'll set off a storm. Dravik roared and charged forward. Ril dodged. Moved like wind, fast, silent. A fist missed him. A blade swung wide, but Ril never missed. His knife sliced through armor weak points. His boot cracked a knee. His elbow crushed a jaw. And then he stood face to face with Dravik. The final strike of Dravik. Punched, missed. Ril stabbed straight into Dravik's side. The general gasped, dropped to one knee. I led empires, Dravik growled. Ril leaned close. And I buried them. Then, for the first time, Ril activated his detonator. But not to kill. He detonated everything around the plaza, except where he and Dravik stood. A warning, a lesson, a message. He whispered, tell them. Earth wasn't yours to take. Then walked away. The legend grows by morning. Word had spread to every surviving Varnock soldier. Ril had spared the general. Ril had walked through the center of their army. And Ril had left standing. No one tried to stop him. No one followed. Some even dropped their weapons. Closing scene. Ril sat alone at the edge of a destroyed rooftop. The sky was still dark, but for the first time he saw stars. He whispered, next time, bring more. Behind him, the city burned quietly, but Ril Carter, Earth's ghost, the human they missed once but never again, was already planning his next move. The smoke from New Berlin rose high into the dark sky. Across the galaxy, many species watched the live war feeds. Some cheered for the Varnock Dominion. Others hoped for their fall. And now, all eyes turned to Earth, the world where one human, Ril Carter, was turning a full alien invasion into a nightmare. The Varnock Empire had lost dozens of elite soldiers, drones, weapons, pride. All crushed out by one man, and now their strongest weapon had arrived. The Supreme General lands. The Varnock dreadnought Terrorfang broke through Earth's clouds like a dark moon. It cast a long shadow over the ruins. Inside stood the Supreme General Arvok Malrix, twice the size of other Varnocks, covered in battle scars, and known for destroying 6 planets with his own hands. He stepped out in silence. The ground cracked under his boots. His red armor glowed with heat. Behind him followed an army of elite guards. No fear in their eyes, no weakness in their blood. He looked at the destruction of New Berlin. So, one human did all this. A commander nodded nervously. Yes, Supreme General. Captain Ril Carter. Arvek raised his head. Then I will crush him myself. Ril's quiet watch far above. Ril Carter sat inside a broken radio tower. He had been listening to every word. The name Arvok Malrix made him pause. He remembered it. Arvok had led the destruction of the Vega colonies where 2 of Ril's oldest friends died in fire. Now Arvok was here. Ril looked down at the city. Then he whispered, perfect. A dangerous warning. The Varnock set up a new base in the city center. Arvok ordered all data about RYL.files.footage, .combat reports. He watched every video of destroyed units, every burned body, every message Ril had left. His mouth curved into a grin. He plays with fear, clever, but he has not met real war. He sent a message broadcast on all Earth frequencies. Captain Ril Carter. I am here, come face me. Or I will burn what is left of your world. Everyone listened, but Rill didn't reply. Instead, 3 alien patrols vanished that night without a sound, and in place of their bodies, a new message appeared, carved into metal. You came too late. Arvak's brutal method. The next morning, Arvak gathered 5 human prisoner survivors who had been hiding underground. He tied them to a broken monument in the center of the city. His voice echoed, "Come out, Rill Carter. I know you're watching. Refuse to face me, and they die." Snipers took position. Drones circled. The trap was set. Everyone waited. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Suddenly, a scream. One of the snipers dropped from the rooftop, his throat cut. Before anyone could react, a second sniper's gun exploded in his hands. Panic followed when Arvak looked back. The hostages were gone. A message was burned into the stone. You don't control this battlefield. I do. The burning of Sector 9 enraged. Arvak ordered Sector 9 to be burned to the ground. No questions, no mercy. His soldiers used flamethrowers and bombs. They torched every room, every tunnel, every wall. They believed Rill was hiding there. But when they reached the core, they found a single speaker. It played Rill's voice. Thanks for clearing that area. I needed space for something bigger. Then explosions tore through Sector 3, where their ammo storage was hidden. Flames rose. Screams echoed. Ryl had tricked them again. Arvak's doubt, for the first time in 10 years. Supreme General Arvak sat in silence. He stared at a burnt helmet, one of his own guards. He didn't just avoid the trap. He growled. He used it. Scientists stepped forward. Sir, his mind is different. He studies behavior. He tracks patterns. He turns our orders into his weapons. Arvak asked quietly, where did Earth make this kind of soldier? No factory, sir. They made him. In war. The civil split among the Varnock troops. Rumors spread fast. Many began doubting the mission. He's not a man. He's the planet. He sees everything. He lets you shoot once. Then it's your funeral. Some soldiers faked injuries to get sent back to the ship. Others walked straight into the forest and vanished deserted. One alien whispered, I'd rather face a black hole than Carter. The night that broke the general that night, Arvak personally led a patrol into the ruins. Only 5 top guards with him. All silent. All alert. Suddenly, the path lit up, blue fire on them. They were standing in a perfect circle of mines. One guard stepped forward. We can disarm. Boom. The blast sent him flying. The others fired wildly. Lasers hit walls. Dust rose. Then Rill walked through it. Covered in ash. Silent. Rvak stepped forward. You dare face me now? Rill spoke slowly. I've been beside you all day. Arvak raised his massive blade. I will break your bones. Rill didn't flinch. He whispered, then you better not miss. The fighter Arvak charged. His blade swung fast. Rill dodged, slid, rolled like he had done it 1,000 times. He didn't try to overpower Arvak. He went for his legs. His balance, he stabbed the armor joints, cut wires, threw dust in his eyes, and then he activated the pulse device. EMP burst. Arvak's armor froze. His blade dropped. His system died. He stood like a statue, and Rill walked right up to him. Final words. Rill stared into Arvak's eyes. You burned Vega, my people. My friends, Arvak spat. We will return, stronger, more. Rill nodded slowly. Then I'll bury them too. He left Arvak standing there, alive, but broken. The message was clear. Even your strongest can fall. Broadcast to the galaxy that night. Rill hijacked the Varnock war frequency. His voice rang through every ship, every soldier's helmet. This is not your planet. This is not your victory. You think numbers matter? But Earth taught us something long ago. One human, with nothing left to lose, is the most dangerous force in the galaxy. He ended with one word. Run. Aftermath the next morning. Arvak was gone. His dreadnought left orbit. Half the army left with him. Only a few stayed behind to search ruins, recover bodies. But the war had changed. The Varnock no longer marched like conquerors. They crawled like survivors. And in the shadows of a dead city, Rill Carter sharpened his blade again, because he knew this was only the beginning. The skies over Earth were quiet again. No more warships in orbit. No more fire falling from above. But inside the ruins of New Berlin, silence meant danger. The Varnock soldiers who remained moved in groups now. They didn't speak unless necessary. Even their strongest warriors stopped trusting the dark, because they knew one name, and they feared what he was becoming. Rill Carter. He had no army. No advanced weapons. But still, the Varnock had lost ships, bases, and their most feared general. And now, they were finally asking, what makes this human unstoppable? Varnock High Command investigates. Back in orbit, inside the new Varnock Command ship, several alien scientists met with General Corlin, the new leader after Arvak fled. They brought files, brain scans, and battle footage of Rill Carter. Corlin growled, "Give me answers. Why can't we stop him?" One scientist tapped the screen. "It's not just training or tactics. Carter is using something we don't understand." Another nodded. "He doesn't think like a soldier. He thinks like a survivor." A third leaned in. "It's not the weapons he carries. It's the one inside him." Corlin stared. "Explain." The scientist whispered, "It's something humans call willpower. Rill's hidden arsenal back on Earth." Rill opened a metal hatch beneath a destroyed factory. This was one of the first places he had hidden supplies when the invasion began. Inside was no high-tech weapon, just old Earth gear, cables, tools, explosives. Food bars, a small photo of his squad. He touched the photo gently, then placed it inside his jacket. That picture wasn't a weakness. It was his fuel. Every time he saw it, the pain returned. And so did the fire in his chest. The weapon they feared at night. A Varnock patrol spotted him just for a second. Rill was walking across a ruined bridge with nothing in his hands. They opened fire. He didn't run. He didn't need to. Weapons jammed. Their drones flew into each other. By the time they fixed their gear, he was gone. On the bridge wall, one word was burned into stone: persistence. Corlin's frustration grows. General Corlin stared at the latest reports. Patrols vanished. Equipment destroyed. Morale broken. He shouted, "Why doesn't he stop? Why doesn't he surrender?" The scientist answered slowly, "Because surrender is a choice. And Carter doesn't have that word in his mind." Corlin slammed the desk. "Then we erase it. We erase him." He sent down Shadow-class hunters, Varnock stealth assassins, deadliest killers in the Empire. But even they didn't return. Only one message came back. 3 words, scrawled in blood on their cum device: "Too late again." The survivors. Fire. Rill sat alone beside a small fire, deep in the sewer tunnels. He wasn't eating. He wasn't sleeping. He was remembering. He closed his eyes and saw faces. His squad, laughing, drinking coffee, fighting side by side. And then dying. Each death burned deeper than the last, but it didn't destroy him. It forged him. His thoughts were clear. "They had me outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched, and still I'm here." He wasn't fighting because he believed he'd win. He was fighting because he refused to stop. A Varnock soldier breaks down. Private Telrix, a young Varnock trooper, sat trembling inside a bunker. His hands shook. His breath was sharp. He whispered to himself, "It's just a man. It's just a man." He had seen Carter once, from a distance. No weapons. No army. Just eyes filled with fire. And now, Telrix couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't forget. That night, he threw down his rifle and walked into the wild. He left the war, and he wasn't the only one. The message in the rain fell heavy over Sector 12. The Varnuk commanders tried to rebuild their small towers, weapons, scanners. Then, one night, they woke to alarms. All systems were dead. Every scanner pointed one direction, toward the sky. And there, written across a fallen Varnuk ship in glowing paint, were 5 words. You never understood the fight. The wind carried the words across the ruins, and in the center of it all, Rill watched from a rooftop. His eyes cold, his hands steadied. What they never got. The Varnuk believed in domination. They believed war was about power, ships, weapons, numbers. But Rill had shown them something else. That war is sometimes about refusal. That survival is defiance. That a man who's lost everything has nothing left to fear. He didn't fight to win. He fought so they would lose. And now, even when he wasn't there, the fear of him made them fail. Corlin's last strategy, General Corlin, called for a war council. He slammed a fist on the table. We wiped the entire city. Orbital strike. No more Carter. No more Earth ruins. The officers stared. But sir, we might kill our own soldiers. Corlin growled. Then they'll die clean. He ordered the dreadnought to charge the cannons. But before they could fire, every screen in the room turned white. Rill's voice echoed in. You still don't get it. The lights flickered. The dreadnought's engine failed. Rill had hacked their systems. From the ground, the message sent to the galaxy from a broken satellite dish. Rill Carter activated a long-range broadcast. It reached not just Varnuk ships, but outer colonies, neutral worlds, resistance fighters. His voice rang clear. They brought weapons. I brought will. They brought fear. I brought memory. They tried to erase Earth. And I became the pen that rewrites history. Across the galaxy, hope stirred. People began whispering his name like a legend. The man who won with nothing. Closing scene. Back in the ruins, Rill walked through the silent streets. Not hiding, not rushing, just walking. He passed a fallen alien tank. He passed old blood. He passed a Varnuk flag torn, dirty, forgotten. Then he picked up a stone, carved one word into the wall beside him, resist, and kept walking forward. Into the next battle. Where his true weapon followed him. Not a gun, not a bomb, but a fire the Varnuk could never build. And never kill. The Varnuk once ruled the stars. They controlled orbit. They controlled the skies. But ever since Rill Carter began his silent war, their grip started to break. First on the ground, now above, and no one saw how far he was willing to go. Not until the day their ships began to fall. The Varnuk fortress in orbit high above Earth floated the massive Varnuk Sky Fortress, a ship large enough to carry 10,000 soldiers and 20 plasma cannons. It was built to break planets. Unstoppable. Untouchable. Or so they believed. Inside, General Corlin stood before his officers. Earth is broken, he said. We will crush the final resistance. Carter will either die in flames or be forgotten in the dust. A lieutenant spoke. Then why are our patrols still vanishing? Corlin growled. Because fear spreads lies. Carter cannot reach us here. But he was wrong. A signal from below in the mountains of old Europe. Rill climbed a long-dead communications tower, rusted, broken, lost to time. With scavenged parts and a stolen Varnuk uplink disk, he reactivated it. One pulse. Just one. It hit a forgotten satellite. The kind even Varnuk ignored. But inside it, Rill had placed something weeks ago. A virus, a code. Whisper of war. It spoke to the sky, and the sky answered. The first fall orbiting above. A Varnuk cargo ship suddenly lost power. It spun in silence for 30 seconds. Then it dropped. From the clouds, it came down. Like a metal comet, glowing red and screaming. The crash shook 5 cities. No weapon fired. No enemy seen. But Carter had written something in smoke near the crash site. This was only the first. Sky terror spreads in the next 48 hours. 2 scout ships vanished mid-flight. A patrol drone exploded while scanning Sector 11. The Varnuk sky Fortress shut down its external comms after hearing strange music playing in their headsets. The song? An old Earth track, soft, haunting. Lyrics repeated. You thought the sky was yours, but now the sky remembers. No one knew how it played. No one knew who sent it, but deep down, they all feared one thing. Carter had reached the sky, Corlin's. Growing panic inside the orbiting fortress, Corlin stood before the technicians. How is this happening? One Varnock engineer spoke nervously. There's no virus in our systems, no ship near us. Corlin grabbed him. Is this Carter's doing? The engineer didn't answer. He didn't have to. Corlin turned to the others. Prepare the plasma net. No more drops. No more surprises. But it was already too late. Old Tech, new tricks. Rill sat in a bunker beneath the ruins of New Siberia. Before him, a dusty Earth military console. On it, blinking lights. Each blink controlled a different part of the sky through ancient satellites, weather drones, and decommissioned orbital mirrors. The Varnock laughed at Earth's old systems. They never thought someone would turn them into weapons, but Rill had. He whispered, "Let's make the sky scream." The night sky burns that evening. Hundreds of Varnock soldiers stared up at the stars. They saw strange lights flicker. Patterns moved in the sky. Then, lasers rained down. Not Varnock lasers. Not human missiles. But refocused solar beams from Earth's own orbital mirrors. Redirected by Rill's code. They weren't strong enough to destroy warships, but strong enough to blind sensors and fry circuits. Above Earth, ships turned black inside. No lights, no control. And from the surface, Rill sent one last signal. You brought fire from the sky. I returned it. The crew that vanished, a Varnock elite crew, was sent to track the source of the signal. They landed near the northern wastes. Every system was working. They walked into an abandoned lab. Inside, Earth computers, paper notes, and one human voice playing. On a loop, Rill's voice. You think you are gods in orbit, but you still breathe, and I know where the air comes from. The team rushed back to their ship, but they never made it. Their ship exploded before takeoff. And nearby, on a wall of frozen metal, was written, "No escape." Corlin's last desperate move in the command room. Corlin activated a new weapon, Project Skyhammer, a cannon designed to wipe out Earth's last strongholds with one beam. He ordered it to charge. Then dash darkness. The lights went out. Alarms failed. Gravity shifted. Corlin floated in the dark. Then, all screens turned on. Rill's face. Tired, wounded, but smiling. He spoke just once. You trusted the sky. Now the sky obeys me. And then Skyhammer exploded from the inside. The shockwave tore through 3 decks. Dozens of Varnock officers were lost. The stars grow cold now. The Varnock feared not just Earth, but the silence of space itself. They feared the blinking of stars. They feared every old satellite. They feared how deep one man's reach could go. Rill had no fleet. No space armor, but his war had spread to the skies. He was everywhere they never looked. Voices of rebellion on distant worlds. Varnock subjects whispered, "Did you hear? One human took down their ships. If he can strike from Earth, maybe they aren't gods. They're losing to someone with nothing." Small fires of rebellion lit up in the dark, all because of one message. Even the skies turned against them. Rill's quiet victory alone on a hilltop. Rill looked up. He saw the stars. Some still burned. Some had gone dark, ships destroyed. He didn't smile. He didn't cheer. He just whispered, "Not over yet." In his hand was a small device. Clicked it. Far above, a message was broadcast one last time. This planet remembers. And now, so does the sky. The Varnock Empire had destroyed entire civilizations. They had ended kings and crushed rebels. But today, they faced something worse. One man who had nothing left to lose. His name was Rill Carter. and he had become the name even generals whispered. In fear, the call to surrender of Varnock broadcast echoed across the galaxy, on every screen. In every starport and warship, the Varnog High Leader stood in golden armor. The human called Rill Carter has broken rules, killed soldiers, and dared to challenge our might. This ends now. All humans who hide him will be destroyed. Carter, if you do not surrender, we will erase Earth. But Rill didn't answer. He had already made his move, the deep core plan far beneath Earth's crust. Rill worked in silence. In an old geothermal station, once abandoned by Earth forces. He was building something new. Not a bomb. Not a virus, but a pulse. A signal strong enough to crash every Varnock system within range. A final strike, he called it. The reset, he whispered to himself. You want Earth gone. Then Earth will speak first. A spy returns. A strange thing happened. One Varnock captain, young and shaken, defected. He walked alone toward Earth's edge, carrying a white flag and old Earth coins. He begged to speak to Carter. They brought him. In his name was Raleen. He looked at Rill with wide alien eyes. I was on the Sky Fortress, he said. I saw what you did. I don't want to fight anymore. Rill stared at him for a long time, then said softly, then help me make it end. And Raleen did. He gave Rill the last access codes to the Empire's orbital defense wall. The final march. It began with silence. Rill walked alone through a broken city once called New Berlin. He passed old statues, rusted tanks, burned Varnock flags. Behind him came others. First 3 humans, then 9, then 50, then hundreds. They had no armor, no plasma rifles, just tools, scraps, and courage. The world had watched him too long. Now they walked with him. The Empire comes down. The Varnock Empire did not ignore this. They sent everything. 14 dropships, 4 orbital destroyers, 20,000 soldiers. They landed outside Earth's core zone, near the geothermal plant. Inside, Carter was still programming the reset. They demanded surrender. He answered only with a short broadcast. You came to take everything. I came to remind you, I'm still here. The last battle begins. The ground shook. The sky turned red. The Varnock army moved in lines, like machines, but the Earth fighters did not run. They used old buildings, shadows, mirrors, and dust storms. They set traps. They hacked drones. They fought with rage, memory, and fire. And Rill? He didn't fire a weapon. He watched. He waited. He counted the seconds until the reset was ready. Corlin's return. General Corlin himself landed in a golden drop pod. His armor had scars from earlier defeats. His pride was broken, but not dead. He stomped toward Rill's position with 10 elite guards. Carter, you hide behind others. Come face me. The bunker door opened. Rill walked out. No armor. No gun. Just one old Earth badge in his hand. Your mistake, Rill said, was thinking I fought you with weapons. Corlin raised his blade. Then die with your words. He charged, and just as he struck, the reset activated. Silence falls. A wave of blue light burst across the battlefield. It passed through Varnock ships. Armor, weapons. In seconds, blades froze in mid-swing. Cannons shut down. Ships dropped from the sky without power. Corlin's blade stopped inches from Rill's chest, his armor locked, his eyes wide. He couldn't move. What did you do? He choked. Rill stepped back and said softly, I spoke to the world, and it chose to silence you. Earth rises across the battlefield. The Varnock were down. Frozen. Helpless. And the humans, those who once hid, now stood tall. They walked among the still bodies of the enemy, not to kill, but to reclaim their world. Rill looked at Corlin one last time. You lost. The moment you underestimated Earth. And with that, he turned and walked away. 1 year later, the sky was blue again. Earth cities had begun to rebuild. Satellites once used by Varnock now carried human signals. Children played in the ruins, but they All knew the story. They called it The Man Who Beat the Empire. Real Carter did not stay in power. He didn't want medals. He lived quietly, planting trees where cities once burned. Across the stars, the galaxy remembered. Other species rose in. Rebellion. They saw Earth not as weak anymore, but as a warning. A whisper spread. You can crush armies, but never crush a soul who fights for home. And in distant worlds, when Varnock warships appeared, leaders asked one question: is Carter still alive? They never got an answer, because some said he was just a man. Others said he had become the storm. Final words a small statue stands on Earth's highest peak. No weapons. Just a man looking at the sky. On the stone, simple words are carved. He was outnumbered 100 to 1, but still told them. Big mistake.